Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television. My next guest on the program will be talking about how emerging retail trends are actually affecting Nigeria's economy in spite of the recession that the country is in. She's Buki George, the founder and Chief Executive Officer of Health Plus Limited. Makes for an interesting conversation. We're talking about strategies for growth in a difficult economic environment and the challenges facing retail business. Buki, good morning, and thank you for joining me on the program.
Good morning, Harriet.
So talk to us a little bit about the environment. I know that we've seen in the last couple of years a middle class that has sort of, despite the economic challenges, stayed afloat.
Certainly, Health Plus is one such business that has taken advantage of this middle class that you talk about. I, for one, I started about 18 years ago as a small business, 18 square meter space in GRA Ikeja. And over the past years, we have become a household name for the sourcing of quality products, medicines, healthcare products, natural remedies, modern baby care, etc. And this has been made possible because of several factors. Attention placed on the healthcare industry, on pharma, the importance of sourcing quality pharmaceutical products. In addition, the retail development has really allowed our business to scale up with the development of malls.
So that means we've seen this trend emerging over time, but then have the strategies that most of these SMEs put in place actually been enough to weather the difficult economic environment that we have at the moment?
I mean, for us at Health Plus, we have had successes. So we can focus a little bit on the successes. In that time, like I said, we started with a very small store, 18 square meter space, and that was in GRA Ikeja. And in about 18 years, we now have 70 retail outlets in 10 states. We employ about 750 employees, and that's pretty significant. There's several businesses much bigger than ours with revenues in millions of dollars that employ just about 10% of what we do. And this is, very important to emphasize. Now, in terms of strategies for coping, so despite all our successes, there are big issues with the economy, especially with the recession that we're in. And like with many businesses, what we had to do was just to look inwards. We started out by looking at our cost structure to figure out where the money was going and look for areas where we can cut costs and also optimize our business. We engaged our suppliers, we renegotiated our trade terms. We looked at our product mix to make sure that it's relevant for the people that we serve, our target market. And we also looked inwards to source more locally.
But for most of these other companies, aside from yours, who are listed in this particular sector, providing services, retail basically, to customers, has there been collaborations, for instance? Some of the challenges that might be experienced by other companies might not be experienced by yours, or you've found ways of surmounting this particular challenges. So talk to us a little bit about collaboration, sharing of ideas, mentorship among SMEs in the retail sector.
Well, I mean, I can give a couple of examples in terms of collaborating. Classic example, we used to source locally from manufacturers, we used to source locally from manufacturers' representatives. And at a point in time, as the recession got deeper, we had to look within. And we started looking for local manufacturers of products. We collaborated with businesses like Olori products, Oriki products. These are local manufacturers of healthcare products, for instance. And we started collaborating with these local manufacturers. Other examples, I can think of retail. For instance, my good friend Rough and Tumble, Adenike Ogunlesi, she collaborates very well with designers. She collaborates with production tailors, etc.
Which means you're not part of those who experienced FX pressures, because...
Oh, we definitely did. Like I told you, at the start, before now, our focus was about 60% of our merchandise were sourced locally. But we had a good 40 to 45% that was imported. Now, as Forex became more scarce, we focused on 80%. We focused on the products that were responsible for 80% of our revenues.
So good. So
and we had to make sure that our scarce dollars were going towards the very essential.
So we started
looking inwards.
We have to say kudos to the CBN, because at the end of the day, it has actually highlighted the importance of looking inwards to source what you really need.
Definitely.
Protecting that very key sector of the economy, which includes yours, which is the small and medium enterprise.
Yes. All of us have had to look inwards, whether we liked it or not. The Forex was just not available to continue business as usual. And so, yes, this has forced everybody to look for Made in Nigeria, look to Made in Nigeria.
So in what areas would the retail sector want the government to focus on now?
Well, still using us as an example, Health Plus is 100% a healthcare service provider. We're also 100% a retail business. And a healthcare service provider that has major social impact on the people shouldn't be accessing funds at between 26, 28 to 30% interest rates. I mean, it is stifling. How are we ever going to bridge the gap in order to achieve universal healthcare for all Nigerians? So personally, I have suggested to those who are able to make these changes, these policy changes, that we need a healthcare fund specifically targeting the healthcare industry to allow the entire value chain to scale up. That is on the one side. And as a retail business, one of the challenges that we face in retail is the high cost of doing business, in particular our rentals. These are really stifling. And again, the ability for the more developers to access cheaper funds through, for example, the pension funds would be fantastic, so that we can have a few more affordable shopping malls, such as developments by Top Services Limited, the Cocoa Malls of this world, the Adeniran Ogunsoya malls. I mean, these are malls that are affordable and can allow us to scale without making us go bankrupt.
So talking about funding, actually, what do you think can be done to help retailers that are essentially SME driven?
Retailers, well, majority of us are SMEs actually. Yeah. Going back to the high cost of doing business, which is a bane for all of us, access to cheaper funds is very critical. Retail generates huge employment. Like I said, we have over 750 employees. That's much more than some local governments. And therefore, for government to look critically at businesses that check certain boxes, like high employment, local inputs, etc., and support them the best that they can, that is absolutely critical. And I'd like to use this opportunity to focus on what is, one thing that is very dear to me in terms of also helping SMEs to scale, and that is access to talent. Like a friend of mine said, we've got a national crisis whether we realize it or not. And Nigeria can never achieve its full potential if all the stakeholders involved in education do not come together. So educators, educational institutions, HR practitioners, entrepreneurs, and government should come together and address this matter very aggressively.
It says here, well, I have your profile here, that you have over 25 years in the retail, health, and beauty industry, and you're also an alumnus of the Lagos Business School and currently enrolled at the Harvard Business School. So talking about giving back now, what are you doing in terms of giving back to society? You talked about access to talent. How have you been supporting, for instance, these various initiatives by the federal government, UWIN, and all this graduate assistant programs? How have you been assisting?
So one of my personal major interests is entrepreneurship. And I recognize that there's so many people in business. All I have to do is just look around me: family, friends, church folks, business students, entrepreneurs in places like the EDC, Lagos Business School, etc. So I have walked a certain path, and I have a measure of success in a certain path. I have been mentored by gurus in the retail industry and